Well, here we go. Final 3 episodes. We're going to take 2 of these episodes to discuss the MEC conference tournament. We're going to do a men's segment and we're going to do a women's preview as well. And let's start with the men's as we get underway with the men's basketball tournament starting this week. The women's will also start this week as well. But just to give a quick layout of what the field looks like, at the top you have West Liberty, followed by West Virginia State, Charleston, Fairmont State, Notre Dame, Concord, Alderson Broaddus, Glenville State, Wheeling, and Davis and Elkins. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the top 2 teams from each men's and women's, and we're going to talk to 2 of their best players from all 4 teams. So without further ado, let's start with the number 1 team in the field of 10 in this year's MEC conference tournament. We'll start with West Liberty, and we are pleased to be joined by Bryce Butler, a sophomore guard for Ben Hallett's Hilltoppers. Bryce, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So how's everything been for you so far? I mean, you guys had a great season, 26-2 regular season. I mean, you guys are hot. I mean, it was like a fire extinguisher. You just need to go around campus and start fire extinguishing the whole place because it's so on fire.
Yeah, I mean, things are going well. Obviously, hit a few road bumps along the way, but definitely, I think necessary road bumps for us, overcoming a lot, and just getting in the right footing and hitting stride in the right time.
I want to go back real quick before we talk about this conference tournament because you guys, again, like I said, you guys are on a hot streak right now, winning winners of 12 straight games. But you guys started this win streak the game after you guys lost to Fairmont State. But I'll ask you, Bryce, as somebody that's been around this program, obviously you've played with Coach Hallett for a few seasons now. How have you sort of seen this team respond following that 3-point loss at home against Fairmont State?
Yeah, I think this year's team's a little different than teams I've been on in the past, just as far as like maturity wise. And we have a lot of older guys this year. And I think that's helped a lot, especially losing that game to Fairmont. You know, we had a 19-point lead and ended up losing that game. I think as a team, we just kind of came together, and Coach Hallett he brought everyone together, and we all just kind of bought in and just continued to respond.
You had mentioned how this team's maturity is a lot different than a lot of these other teams that you've played with. In what way have you sort of seen yourself mature during this process and even, in another year with the Hilltoppers?
Right. Yeah. I think this year, the biggest thing for me was becoming a better leader. And that was one of the biggest things that I struggled with, to kind of be a more vocal leader. I've always kind of led by example, but I think this year I've kind of learned to start leading more vocally.
Who sort of nudged you in that direction? I would assume Coach Hallett and his assistants definitely were there to help, but I mean, was there anybody else that sort of opened that light up to you or even opened that door for you that said, hey, if this team needs to be successful, then you gotta speak up?
Yeah, obviously we've had that a conversation with Coach Hallett and coaching staff, but I think Dalton from last year would probably be the biggest guy that kind of opened that door for me, and I learned a lot leadership wise from him as far as like leading by example and knowing like what to say and when to say it at the right time, stuff like that.
How do you think this team's been so successful to finish this stretch in the season? Again, winners of 12 straight, 26-2 to finish the regular season. What do you think has been the recipe for success during this 12-game winning streak for you all?
I think just everyone kind of just buying in. Everyone's playing for each other. No one's playing for themselves. And I just think a big thing is obviously health. We've been lucky this year. We've been pretty healthy, and obviously now we got Will back, and he's healthy now too as well. So that's good for us.
Let's talk a little bit about your game because again, we're going to talk about the conference tournament, but I still like to put a wrap on the regular season. But in regards to your game, obviously you are one of the top scorers not only on your team but in the MEC as well. But looking at your game, when you look at this leap that you had from a season ago to now, where did that leap occur?
I think just as far as experience and maturity, I think experience is one of the biggest things for me as far as being here the past 2 years and playing behind someone like Dalton and Luke, and those two guys have been here for a while and learning a lot from them, and just I think experience along with confidence. So the more experience I've got, the more confident I've got.
Okay, I got you. So, as I said, the bulk of this episode will be driven around this conference tournament that will occur in Wheeling at West Banco Arena this week. And you guys are the number 1 seed, 20-2 in conference play. So obviously, you guys won it outright. 5th straight regular season conference title as well. So congratulations to you on that. But
Thank you.
looking at your guys' first round matchup, obviously you don't know who you're playing yet, but you guys will play the winner of Glenville State and Wheeling. When you look at this field that you guys have this year? Obviously, the MEC continues to be loaded each and every year, but in your eyes, how competitive will this field be compared to other conference tournaments in years past?
Yeah, I think this year is going to be, I would say, probably the most competitive it's been since I've been here, and especially in the conference tournament. You never know what you're going to get. It's March; anything can happen in March, and that's what makes it fun. That's just the best part about it.
Now, like obviously, whenever let me ask you this: do you stay up until like midnight, going from February 28th to March 1st? Do you like stay up till midnight, and then whenever you hear it's March 1st, you're just like, okay, it's March Madness time?
Not necessarily, but definitely, you can definitely. There's just something different in the air today. You can definitely tell.
Or do you just feel like a little bit more juice today than you did in probably the month of
Yeah,
February?
right. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So you guys fall short of the conference title a season ago, losing to Fairmont in the conference championship game. When you look at how this team's responded in a mentality way, how do you think this team's responded from that loss in the conference title a season ago to this point today?
Yeah, I think last year was kind of like one of those things. We hit that big shot against Glenville in the semis, and it's just one of those things where we struggled to just keep momentum going. And another thing I think that led us to helping us win the region was that loss. We kind of had to refocus a little bit, but this year we're definitely going to learn from that. And it's a 3-day mission now, and that's what we're going to try to accomplish.
In regards to going back to this field, I mean, obviously, you mentioned how this is one of the more tougher fields that you will go up against in your collegiate career. But looking at what needs to happen for you all to win, obviously on the court can speak for itself, off the court can speak for itself as well. But in your eyes, what needs to go right for you all to hoist that conference title?
I think just biggest thing for us playing 3 back-to-back days is health and keeping guys fresh, honestly. And I think especially the way we play, that'll be the biggest thing for us is keeping guys fresh and obviously just continuing to play how we've been playing as a team, playing well together, and just trusting in what Coach Hallett and what he has for us to do. And I think that'll be the biggest thing.
Few more, and we'll start here. Going on the lines of Coach Howard as well, how helpful has he been through this stretch of this 12-game winning streak leading into the conference tournament? Has he tried to refocus you all, or what has sort of been his tactic in his trying to get you all prepared for the conference tournament?
Yeah, so he actually does a very good job at keeping us focused and keeping us engaged and keeping us knowledgeable on basically how everything works as far as the regional tournament, MEC tournament. And before every practice, before every game, we break it down and he lets us know like where we're at, what we're doing, what the goal is. And so we talk about it pretty much every day as far as the playoff standpoint and where we need to be and where we would like to be. So
And then lastly, looking at your relationship with Pat Robinson, when you look at that, what makes you two so well together on the court?
I feel like our games kind of complement each other. We're obviously two completely different players, and I feel like just the way he plays compared to the way I play just kind of compares. He's more of a driver. I'm more of just every like just moving around. I'm a cutter, so those two things, driving and cutting, those two things kind of come together, and I think we just play well together.
Well, Bryce, thank you for your time. Good luck the rest of the way this conference tournament, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Up next, we'll talk with West Virginia State's Glen Abram. We just spoke with Bryce Butler from the number 1 seed West Liberty Hilltoppers. Now let's go to number 2 seed. West Virginia State is the number 2 seed leading into this conference tournament, and we are pleased to be joined by leading scorer Glen Abram. Glen, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, man?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be you, of course, because you just scored your 2,000th career point this past weekend. I mean, does your arm hurt? I mean, did your shoulders hurt? I mean, that's a lot of points, man.
Nah, man. I just blessed to say I had a successful and long career. I just want to thank God for no injuries and allowing me to play 5 years for no injuries. And it's just a big accomplishment for the team and me and our program.
Absolutely. I agree with that. But let me ask you this then. So looking at the success that you've had, obviously you can score the ball at a high rate. What do you think's been the recipe for that success, being able to score over 2,000 points?
Just the work you put in the off season. Coming in my freshman year, I was 140 pounds, 150 pounds. So going into my sophomore year, the weight was needed to be put on, and the work that I put in the summers after that, it transitioned into the season. And I was fortunate enough to reach 2,000 in my career, and I'm blessed.
Let's talk a little bit about your season so far. You guys had a rocky start to the season, right around 6-5 through the first 11 games, but then you guys hit your stride. I mean, you guys won. You guys went on an unreal win streak. You guys lose a few games, but then you guys are right back on an 8-game winning streak, 12-1 at home. Looking at this regular season for you all, 23-6, I should have mentioned as well. But looking at this regular season for you all, are you impressed with how well you and your squad avenged earlier losses, and also just were able to rebound after such a slow start to your season?
Yeah, and Coach said this all the time. When we went to Hawaii, we really came together. We was down 20 in our first game down there, and we went into the locker room, and it was just quiet. Everybody just got quiet, and we really just all came together after that. And we came back from 20, and after that, we just gelled, and after that, we just started rolling. And I think this is personally my best team I have been on completely, all around, the all-around team from 1 to 5. Anybody can score 20 on any given night. You got Pitt, you got Jerry, you got Noah, Wayne, Ernest off the bench, Bradley off the bench. I feel like we're loaded. And it grew and grew and grew, and we learned how to win games, big games, small games, and we on the road.
Do you think that 2-game stretch down in Hawaii, when you guys played Hawaii Pacific and number 11 Embry-Riddle, do you think that was the ultimate turning point for you all in your season?
Yes, I completely do. I think the Embry-Riddle game gave us confidence in our own self as a team, and once we beat them, we felt like we can compete with anybody after that. So I think that was the turning point for us coming down the stretch, coming back home from Hawaii.
Looking at this team that you mentioned just a second ago with all these different players, you mentioned Anthony Pittman, you mentioned Jeremiah Moore, Ernest Johnson, guys like that. When you look at these guys around you, what makes you all so successful being able to play with one another at a high rate?
We all are happy for each other. So when we're playing together, it's just whoever's the high hand, whoever's the open guy, give it to them. You know, nobody's above one another. We all accept our role on the team, and we all embrace our role. We all know our role on the team, and coach do a good job of putting us in positions to where we can excel at our position and our job.
Let's go to this game that you guys played this past weekend on Saturday at home against the University of Charleston. That was a big game for a lot of different reasons. One, bragging rights for the city of Charleston. That's always an intense rivalry between you all and the University of Charleston. You've played in a lot of those games as well. But then also, seeding was another big factor in that, just because you guys were right around that 2-3 line. But then if you guys would have won that game, which you guys ultimately did, 81-73, you all win that game. That gives you all the number 2 seed. So you guys, a lot of stuff were at play in that game. But before that, what was sort of your message, if you had one, towards your guys, saying, hey, if we want to continue to play at a high rate, this is where we need to step up even more?
Yeah, I mean, and not just me. I think Dwayne, our point guard, really embraces the role of being the leader as a freshman, and he understands the concept that we have to play at a high level, and he helps us. Me, Pitt, Jerry, Noah, and we all gel, and knowing that we know what's on the line, we know what's at stake, and coach say it every day before practice, like, you guys know what's at stake. We huddle, we get in a huddle at the middle of the court, and we say, we know what's at stake, now let's go to work, and that's what we've been doing lately.
Okay, so you guys win that game, you guys earn the 2 seed in the conference tournament, you guys await the winner of the 7-10 matchup between Alderson Broadus and Davis and Elkins. So when you look at what happened a season ago with you all, you guys fall short in the conference tournament. Looking at it now, do you see a different fire inside not only yourself but your teammates as well, trying to get to where you guys ultimately want to be?
Yes, and I think it's just 2 different type of teams. Last year, we wasn't all the way healthy. That's no excuse, but we wasn't all the way healthy. This year, I think we got a deeper team also as well, and we got a better like you said, we got more fire under our heels to win it this year.
What do you think it will take for you all to win whoever you guys may play on Friday? I mean, you guys will play Friday at noon, so you guys will have the first game of that session. What do you think it will take for you all to win not only that game, but ultimately be able to hoist a MEC conference title?
We got to come out. We got to take it one night at a time and give it 100% each game. We're not going to look over nobody. We're going to come out and play our game, and we want to be ourselves. We want to play at our level. We want to play at a high level. And I think we're going to do that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
You're a graduate student with this team. You're from Chicago. You've been able to be around this conference for a long time now. It seems like. I mean, it seems like you've been here. It's like almost like Perry Ellis. I don't know if you remember Perry Ellis from Kansas, but he was there forever.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much the Perry Ellis of the MEC because you've been here since the 17-18 season. But you've been able to see a lot of great players and teams throughout the MEC since you entered the collegiate ranks in 2017. But I asked Bryce Butler this, and he agreed with me, and he said this was one of the more deeper conferences from top to bottom in regards to talent. Would you agree with what he said, and if so, why?
Yeah, I believe our conference is one of the deepest conferences, top to bottom. Because any given night, any team can beat you. Nobody cannot be beat. We see that every week in the MEC, so you get upsets all the time. So I feel like top to bottom, we can compete with any conference in the nation.
When you look at these teams you guys play against, I mean, obviously everybody loves the rivalry between you all and UC, but in regards to what makes this league special, you know, again, you've played in this league for a long period of time now, but in your eyes, what makes this league so special?
The talent. I mean, you got so many different special talents in the league, from the West Libs to the Fairmont to the UCs to us, to even Glenville's and the Concords. You see all different type of teams and with different type of talents and playing styles. And you know, coming from Chicago, we play a hard, fast pace. And then you see some people that played a slower pace in high school, and you just see different type of skills and craft.
Okay, so I want to go back to square one for you. I mean, I know we're talking about the conference tournament, but I love your background. You came from Chicago. Had you heard of West Virginia State before you got out of high school? And then when did West Virginia State ultimately come into the scene for you at the recruiting ranks?
I honestly didn't hear about West Virginia State until after the end of my basketball season. I would say my senior year, like at the end of the playoffs, I started hearing about them. My trainer, Jason Kent, shout out to Jason Kent, Next Level 24. He helped me get here. And we went from there. He introduced me to Coach Board, and I fell in love with the campus and the gym, and went from there.
I'm looking at your bio right now, and in your bio it says that your biggest influencer is your grandfather, I should say. What really motivated you into him being your biggest influence throughout your life?
Well, he was always like my father figure. You know, my father is around and was around at the time, but my granddad was just someone that I always liked to hang out with, and he would pick me up from school and different things like that. So we had a great bond. And one of the promises we made was for me to graduate college and for him to still be here, and we end up doing that. And that was a great success. And he always influenced me to be better and like just do better. You never can be satisfied. You can do something better. He never, even when he come to my games, he'd be like, "Oh, well, you could have hit that shot." Like, it's never you did good. It's always you can do better. So he really motivates me to do better every day.
Okay, so let's get back to this conference tournament. Well, actually, let's talk a little bit more about you. In regards to your game, again, you've been a very consistent scorer throughout your collegiate career. Obviously, we've mentioned already scoring over 2,000 points in your collegiate career, but obviously, as a player and as a veteran player as well, you've definitely seen yourself grow in different areas of your game. Whenever I ask you, what do you think you've improved the most on? What would you say that would be?
From my shot selection, I would say. And I was, coming into this season after last season, averaging 22, and I didn't need to do that this year. And at the beginning of the season, it was frustrating because I was used to, shooting a lot of shots at times. But I had to grow as a player, and I'm really proud of myself and my teammates for helping me and allowing me to grow as a player. And I feel like that was the biggest step, honestly, in my collegiate career was my shot selection, and it helped us tremendously this year.
Couple more, and when you look at what's going to be happening next for you, obviously basketball is definitely a big part in your life, but I saw where you're majoring, or you majored in sports studies, excuse me. What would be that next thing for Glen Abram? What do you want to do after college?
Okay, with that sports studies degree, I would like to become a personal trainer or a private basketball trainer, like or try to work my way up to the NBA and work on the NBA staff as a development coach or something like that.
Oh, okay, I like that. I like that already. So I obviously the shooting is there, the points are there, the scoring is there. So you already got the resume to back that up. But I'll end on this note, and I love asking players this question because you always get different answers, and you get different perspectives as well between the relationship between a coach and a player. But when you look at your relationship with Coach Brian Poor, how special is that for you?
Very special. It's kind of weird. It's like a big brother, little brother relationship, but it's a respect to where I look at him as a father figure as well. But when we on the court, we got a passion to win, and when we off the court, we play like little kids. That's like my buddy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I come in and hit him in the chest, or he'd come in and tap on. Like, that's my guy, man. Our relationship really grew over the years. Me being here 5 years, obviously it grew, and I grew as a player, and he allowed me to grow as a player. That helped our relationship, and I felt like he helped me become a better man outside of basketball.
I'm going to ask one more question off of that. So you mentioned how you guys have a very unique relationship, which is good. I like that. But when you look at the trust angle of the relationship between you and coach, how did you sort of see him continue to buy into you and continue to trust in you when it mattered most, not only in games, but off the court as well?
I think Coach seeing the work that I put in over the years, developing my talent, and I think his trust built as well as I built as a player. So as I got better as a player, I believe he started to trust in my ability more and more, and now he just give me the hand like go, like he trusts me. So I thank him for that. You know, that's really helped my career and helped me reach some milestones that I never would have thought coming in as a freshman I would have reached.
Well, Glenn, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and good luck in the conference tournament. And we'll see what you guys do up in Wheeling.
Appreciate you, man, and have a good day.
Absolutely. That was Glen Abram from West Virginia State. And that will conclude episode 13 of MEC Roundup. Up next, we'll talk on the women's basketball side, and we'll preview what's going on in women's basketball leading into the conference tournament heading in Wheeling at West Bengal Arena. You won't want to miss it on MEC Roundup.